Chapter 17. Shadows and Giants. Candice descended from the mountain with steady resolve, moving from the familiar high cliffs to the tangled embrace of the jungle lowlands. Sunlight fractured through the dense canopy, dappling the forest floor with shifting patterns. Her mentor Ceylon's cryptic warning, "Beware the Empire's champion," echoed in her mind, its weight lingering as she pressed deeper into the wilderness. She stopped at the outskirts of her village, near the jungle's edge, to say farewell. Her family was long gone, her parents claimed by illness, but her friends gathered to see her off, each quietly reverent of Ceylon's mission. Among them was Elder Arya, her presence commanding respect as her gaze met Candice's. "Candice," Arya greeted her, her voice low and foreboding. "The Old One sends you to face what lies beyond. This jungle has watched over us for centuries, but it remembers, and you walk in the footsteps of those who came before us." Candice hesitated, searching Arya's face. What of the Empire? Ceylon spoke as though it were more than just a distant threat. Arya's eyes grew distant. "The Empire, in ancient days, they cast our people from their cities, sending us here as exiles meant to perish. Our ancestors defied them, learned to live with the jungle as we do now, and flourished despite them. Those sent southward came as sacrifices, martyrs to be forgotten. But we survived. The Empire has always feared what it cannot tame." A somber understanding passed between them. The Elder's words sank deep into Candice, connecting her mission with the unbroken resilience of her people. Arya softened, her tone almost tender. "Go with care, Candice. And remember, there are always shadows, even on the brightest paths." After Arya blessed her, Candice departed into the jungle. Equipped with her sarbacane, a tribal blade, and her bow, she carried these tools like fragments of her people's legacy, reminders of the unyielding spirit passed down through generations. Days into her journey, the jungle transformed into a labyrinth of roots and dense, thorny foliage. Her guide, Jarek, a young but experienced scout known for his knowledge of the northern trails, accompanied her through hidden paths and veiled ravines, his instincts guiding them as they pushed northward. On the third day, an unexpected mistake reminded Candice how precarious their path was. She sampled a patch of berries she thought safe, but a bitter taste quickly betrayed her error. Jarek, calm under pressure, prepared an antidote from nearby leaves, his voice steady. "Trust the jungle," he reminded her, "but trust those who know it too." With new respect for Jarek's expertise, they continued, marking each step with greater care. Days later, they stumbled upon an ancient Nithari ruin hidden within the overgrown forest. Towering stone pillars covered in thick moss bore faint carvings of tribal symbols and tales nearly lost to time. The site was sacred, a relic of their people's endurance, a testament to survival where the Empire had once hoped for failure. "Few remember this place," Jarek murmured, tracing a symbol carved into a broken pillar. "But the land remembers. As long as we walk here, so do we." Candice picked up a small stone fragment from the ground, a tangible reminder of her people's strength. She tucked it into her bag, feeling the weight of her lineage settle onto her shoulders. This journey wasn't just for her, but for the countless Nithari who had forged life in a hostile land. On the sixth day, as they passed through a dense thicket, a strange sound rippled through the jungle, a steady, rhythmic thudding that sent birds scattering from the trees. Crouching low, Candice and Jarek peered through the foliage to see 3 towering giants ambling along the path. The first giant, burly and draped in animal skins, had coal-black eyes. The second, his face marked with tribal paints, glanced warily around, while the third, larger than the others, seemed fatigued, a crude club resting on his shoulder. Before they could retreat, the painted giant spotted them and sneered. "Little ones hide? Not well enough." Candice stepped forward, raising her hands in peace. "We're travelers, not here to challenge you." The first giant sneered. "Always travelers, then they come to take." Jarek, respectful but firm, stepped beside her. "We only ask for safe passage." The largest giant's gaze grew unfocused, his head lolling. Seeing a chance, Candice aimed her sarbacane and sent a dart into his arm. His eyes drooped, and he slumped unconscious. The painted giant roared, swinging a massive fist that Candice narrowly dodged. She lunged forward, her blade slicing through, ending the threat. "This one, no sleepy, she muttered, her voice cold as her blade held steady in her hand. The last giant's gaze wavered, taking in his fallen companions and Candice's fierce resolve. "Little one, strong," he grunted, retreating slowly. "Giants remember." With a quick nod, Candice and Jarek slipped back into the jungle's embrace, leaving the giants and the memories of ancient battles behind them. Later that day, Candice and Jarek found themselves on the outskirts of a giant's camp, tucked away in a massive clearing. The camp was a mix of towering makeshift structures and animal skin tents, and in the distance they could see more giants moving about, their figures casting long shadows across the ground. Candice held her breath, motioning for Jarek to stay low as they observed the encampment from a safe distance. "We should go around," Jarek whispered, his voice barely audible. "A camp like this, it means there are more of them than we thought." Candice nodded, her eyes studying the giants' belongings and layout of the camp. Though they hadn't seen giants in these parts for years, this was a reminder of the jungle's secrets and the histories hidden within its depths. She took note of the location, memorizing the terrain for future reference, before they carefully circled back and continued on their path. Eventually, the jungle gave way to rugged highlands, the air crisp and clean. The distant peaks of the Storm Mountains loomed like sentinels, their silhouettes stark against the setting sun. That evening, Candice and Jarek set up camp under the stars, and the jungle's mysteries receded into a quiet stillness. As they sat by the fire, Jarek's gaze grew contemplative. "Do you believe you'll find what you seek in Kingston?" Candice looked into the flames, feeling the weight of her people's history and the warning of the Empire's shadow. "This path feels larger than me, as though it's summoning me to retrace the steps of our ancestors. They endured the Empire's exile and learned to thrive where others failed. If they survived the Empire's wrath, so can I." Jarek nodded, watching the flames. "Our history isn't just a story. The land, the forest, they remember, and so do we. If you're meant to face the Empire, may you find the strength that guided our ancestors." The jungle stretched behind her like an unanswered question, its depths a reminder of battles fought and won in defiance of those who sought to forget them. Candice knew her journey was a continuation of her ancestors' legacy, a march forward under the gaze of a land that remembered. With the crackle of the fire beside her and the mountains looming in the distance, Candice drifted into a sleep filled with ancestral dreams, preparing for what lay ahead.